Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of IT Talks with IT professionals. We are here today with Valter Bastos, IT consultant, BI expert, big friend of mine. And Valter, how are you today?
Hi, Marco. Very good, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
So we have been colleagues at the university, so colleagues at the European Commission, and colleagues in many places. Used to play football together as well. Walter, thank you for having you here today.
It's a pleasure.
Let's start like we start all the time. So, how is university and how we met? So, I think we met in Coimbra back in 2004, I think.
Well, it's actually 20 years this year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a long way. Yeah, if I recall correctly, it was exactly 2004 in Coimbra. We were colleagues at the same institute, and basically, I think we went through the whole course together.
Yeah, so I think I was 1 year older than you.
Yeah, you
Yes.
still are.
Yes, I'm still are. Yeah, we did. So didn't change that. Yeah, so I was 1 year ahead of you, and then so we used to go also out together and stuff. And then you left university, and then you went. It was a crazy project, right? It was what, F16
Yeah, actually,
in Lisbon. It was in Lisbon, right?
Yeah. So actually, for my final project at the university, I decided to go on an internship instead of, let's say, practical project. And I took the chance to join F16 project, which was an internship at Capgemini by that time.
Okay, slavery.
And sorry?
Slavery.
Yeah, you can call it slavery. Well, at least we were paid for it, but yeah, it was challenging, I must admit. Like, well, any consultancy company, as you know,
Yeah.
they are well known for being for squeezing people. It all depends on the projects where you are, but it was the case for us, definitely. But it was a nice learning. I had a very nice team over there. The project manager was really nice. We were about, I don't know, 30 to 40 people, all more or less the same age. So we managed to balance a little bit the work and the fun.
Yeah.
Essentially, when we were working until 6 a.m. in a very nice building in Miraflores, which is a very tall building with
It's the main
a nice
building there in
view and so
Lisbon.
on, having
You were in
pizzas
top floor,
late
no?
night. Sorry?
You were in top floor.
Top floor, 16th floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And yeah, it was a very nice environment amongst the colleagues, and the projects were interesting, but at some point we were feeling a bit stressed, tired, as you can imagine.
yeah. I must say that in 20 years, like I work in since 2007, and I must say that maybe I have worked one weekend on my life. So
Ah,
except Sprint CV. So except Sprint CV, I might have worked one weekend in my life. And I've seen the colleagues like at Widow and stuff, all working weekends, long nights, and said like, I don't work on weekends, guys. Sorry. So
yeah,
I work for myself on weekends, but not for others. So
that's a nice learning, man. But either you need to have someone else to show you that, or you learn it by yourself, right?
yeah,
And for the first 6 months of my career, I had to learn it by myself. I was working weekends. I was working almost every day for 6 months until very late. And very late, it would be 11 p.m., but it could easily go up to 6 a.m.
shit, insane.
Actually, I remember many days that I was leaving the office when the lady, the cleaning lady was starting at 6:30. And as I couldn't stand the noise, the vacuum cleaner anymore, I was leaving the office to the apartment, sleep a little bit, and coming back once she was leaving, which was around 9 a.m.
Okay.
So yeah, it was challenging. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It was
actually,
nice.
it was nice. And
I'd say
actually,
when
I
you are
moved.
younger, those things are super nice. I think, well, now you could not do it now.
Yeah,
So now I could not do it. But when you are 21, 22, 23, just, yeah, you can
yeah. I mean,
get a
and
lot
you
of
are,
workload and have fun and go for drinks. And the next day,
and
you
somehow,
are,
I mean, that's your main focus at that period of your life. It's putting, let's say, all your energy in your career, right?
yeah,
although I don't really agree with that, because I mean, you have to put all your energy in your, or part of your energy in your career along the career, and not exactly only at the start. But the consultancy companies, they are very, very happy to show you that and to tell you exactly, man, if you don't put your effort right now on your career, we will not hire you, because remember, you are an internee,
Yeah.
right? And that was
Prove yourself.
the message. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
after
Nah,
that,
nice.
I moved from Capgemini and I went to a company, a
Going back.
Lisbon company called Olisipo, but I went to a project in Aveiro at Portugal
Ah,
Telecom.
yeah, I didn't know that you were working for Olizipo back in the days. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew
yeah.
I knew that you went back to Aveiro, but not through
No, it
Olizipo.
was through Olisipo, and it was a very nice company, and the project as well in Portugal Telecom, it was nice. But just to tell you that when we negotiated my contract, when I was starting with Olisipo,
Yeah,
they asked me, okay, how much do you want? And I told them, I want X much. And they said, but do you realize that this is for not for someone with 6 month expertise? And I told them, I know, but please be aware that although I have 6 months expertise, since I was working 16 hours a day, you can count it as 1 year, at least.
yeah.
And in the end, I mean, we managed to pull out a nice contract, and I got kind of a good salary for the Portuguese
Yeah.
standards by that time. Um,
1,100 euros a month.
sorry,
1,100.
it was 1,250, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, it was
Yeah,
good. That's
yeah, in
good. Yeah, it
Aveiro.
was very good.
So,
Yeah. And then
um,
then
and
how you joined Real? So it was you went from Aveiro to Widu? I don't remember anymore. It was me,
well,
it was
yes, if I recall correctly, for a period you were always working at WeDo, but at the moment I think you were working at the Rupial office, or
okay,
and I
so
re
I was already business manager. I was for my year
probably,
as business manager there, right?
yeah, I think so, because I got a call from you and you asked me, listen, we are looking for people at WeDo. Please be aware that the projects, they require traveling and so on. Would you like to join? And then, yeah, I had a discussion with Rui.
Rui Campos.
Rui,
Oh,
no,
Rui.
no,
Real.
Rui Alves from Rupial. We made all the arrangements. I had a quick meeting with Carlos Garces from
Yeah.
WeDo, and man, my first day of working at WeDo, it was in the airport meeting the team to go to Armenia
Ah, directly. You went directly
directly.
for analysis,
Yeah,
for building the solution design of the solution in
yeah.
Yerevan. Yerevan.
Yerevan. It was very nice, I must admit. Actually, the whole period that we do, it was very nice. You know very well how we do
Yeah.
works. It's at a point, it's a little bit exhausting with all the traveling, but again, when you are young, you just take the full advantage of it, and you really enjoy meeting different people, different countries, getting extra money because you get a little bit extra when you are traveling,
Yeah, you also don't spend. So
and you
because
don't spend so
company
much.
pays you almost everything. So unless you
Yeah,
go for drinks and stuff, you pay the drinks from your own pocket, but all the rest. So it was
exactly.
paid by the company. Yeah, I remember. Like I joined WeDo through Rupial when I was 21, and going from Erasmus, spending I don't know, 30 euros a week to a 4-star hotel with everything included, and now you have 60 or 70 euros per day to spend on food. Back in the days, nowadays it's few, but nowadays it's not much. But back in the days, 50,
Yeah.
60 euros in Łódź, you could buy the city almost. So
Not to mention that sometimes you're going out for dinner with the project managers. They were paying the dinner, the
yeah,
drinks, yeah, it was fun.
yeah, it
And
was.
yeah, I started in Armenia. I was there in total maybe 4 months. Well, not consecutively, but they were spread summer, winter, and so on. Then next time I went to Łódź in Poland.
I also went to Łódź.
Yeah, yeah. I
Now
was
it's good.
working with
Now it's very
with
good.
Michał.
Which now improved a lot, a lot.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
good things about it.
yeah.
It was a shock because the first time I arrived there, it was minus 17
Yeah.
degrees, and man, for a Portuguese guy,
From the south.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Bucharest, also minus 27 degrees. It was, I think, the worst winter in 20 or 30 years they had. But it was nice again.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's okay. Yeah, you just need
And
a good jacket, and that's it. The good
and
jacket.
at some point, I remember that there was a project starting in Moscow, and I even got my visa. But then, few days before the trip, they said, yeah, there is no need for you to travel anymore, and I got a little bit upset. I wanted to go there,
Yeah.
um, but maybe next time. Who knows?
No, Moscow is nice. I've been in Moscow, like I've been there 24 hours. So I landed at 6 a.m. and I departed at midnight. It's like, yeah, I'm doing the visa. They visa to visit the city, and the city is nice. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
nice.
yeah, man. And I bet the nightlife it must be
Yeah,
really nice over there.
the
It
scale
was
is
already the case in Yerevan. We went to very nice parties with a lot of Russians in
and
Yerevan,
also
and
in Poland as well. So
yeah, in Poland.
Poland was also nice. Yeah, and then you decided to. Then you became employee of Widu, and then
No, 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 no. I never became employee. Actually, I went through those processes. I was invited, but then the perks, the paycheck,
yeah,
didn't really compensate, to be
no,
honest. Um, and I asked them, okay, guys, if I can stay as a consultant, I will remain like this. Otherwise, I
yeah,
will eventually find something else. But yeah, I remained like that, working for different projects. Strangely, after that, I don't think I was traveling anymore. I don't think it was related to that. Probably it was just coincidence. But I started to work in for a project in Vodafone UK, but I never went to UK, so I was
yeah.
working from Portugal. But then at some point I got invited. Well, I don't know how it got there through a company called Closer to start a mission at BNP Paribas.
Okay, you were one of the first joining BNP.
Actually, well, I was the first one at the service desk team. So the idea was for me and a colleague of mine, Clara, to found and kickstart the service desk team in Lisbon.
Yeah,
And I thought at it as an opportunity because yeah, being one of the first, then
always
it
good.
will yeah, it gives you extra room to grow. And yeah, I mean after 1 year we were already 10 in the team, something like that. And they had meanwhile they had to identify someone that would take the lead of the team, and thankfully it was me. And um, and then I moved away from Closer. I became a BNP Paribas employee.
Yeah.
Again, losing a bit of money, but getting a little bit extra, let's say, stability, because well, employees are the last ones to be kicked out if
Well,
something goes wrong.
it's almost
Normally,
the other way around. The
yeah.
service providers are always the first ones to be kicked out.
But then at some point, after 3 years or 4 years being there, I got a call from you
Yeah, it was from me.
asking, yeah,
So back in the days, I kind of moved to Brussels, so to work at the European Commission. I was 3 years at DG Move, and then I decided to go to BNP Paribas, but in Belgium. So I wanted to try the private sector, and I said, okay, I need to find a replacement for me. And I asked
as you were going to BNP Paribas, you wanted to hire someone
yeah,
from
yeah.
BNP
So
Paribas.
we do a swap. We do a swap with BNP Paribas. I go there and I take element from there. And I gave you the call. Hey, Walter, what do you think about joining European Commission as a service provider? But you need to be in Brussels,
Yeah,
so you need to start to travel again.
I
And
have to
then
say that I was really reluctant. Uh, and actually, if I recall correctly, that was not the first time that we had such kind of discussion because
I think I
even
was
before,
teasing you for a while. So I was
yeah,
teasing, hey, what you think? What you think? Like, I'm fine here. We were keeping in touch, so it was not something out of the blue after 3 years. So,
yeah,
yeah. So because the first thing, so for me, it was easy to change country because I was always working abroad. So, and I had to change Afghanistan was Brussels of Afghanistan. So it was a very easy. If I would continue at we do to stay working in an Afghanistan project, which is terrible, and I wanted to get out from there. Or come to Brussels. So back in the days, there was almost no army in the street in Brussels. Like then it was the attentat, the bomb attacks in the airport, and then Brussels became kind of a war zone, at least the European quarter. It became Humvees in the street and those. You already came here with that, no?
I joined in 2016, exactly a couple months after that, I think.
Yeah, it was that. So it was
Yeah.
all security in the streets, like barbed
Yeah.
wire and stuff. Like I'm in Kabul or what? Yeah, it was a big mess. But then, how it was the decision, and how it was what came to your mind to say yes?
Well, I was linking that decision a little bit to what made me leave We Do. Because actually, when I left We Do, it was not just about the proposal to join BNP as a team leader or with that prospect, but it was also the fact that I was traveling a lot. And at some point, my wife, by that time she was still girlfriend, she said, listen, it's between me or whoever you find during your traveling, And, well, not that I was finding anyone, but that when you travel so much, you don't really have a stable life.
Yeah,
Anyway. And when you asked me about going to Brussels, I immediately thought about it. But now that I found this comfortable place, I have my own apartment, I'm living full time in Lisbon. Is it wise to move away again? And I spoke to my wife, and she said, "Okay, let's give it a try." And you are not going by yourself. I go with you, and we'll see. And that was the case. So basically, we moved away from Lisbon to Brussels, found an apartment. We stood there for one entire year consecutively.
yeah,
And then after that, my wife, she decided to be more in between Lisbon and Brussels.
yeah.
And I started traveling more often between Lisbon and Brussels. But also the doubt came not just from that, but also the fact that I was moving from a stable employee position to a contractor
Yeah,
position,
contractor.
freelancing, which was not something that I was used to. And you know that in Portugal, essentially then, now things have changed, but essentially then,
Yeah.
freelancing was not something that you would hear that much on the streets,
No.
right?
Now, yes. Now with the startups, being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and all those things, and also with all the reality in Lisbon that you have the nomads and stuff. So everybody's a kind of self-employed. Back in the days, it was almost no one. So it was
Yeah.
really very few people that you would know that was doing this kind of freelancing or self-employed contractor
Yeah,
thing.
and you're always afraid about that because you know that contracts, they have a certain duration, and you never know what's going to happen next and so on. But lucky enough, the environment that I found at DG Move by then, it was so stable that I never felt like, okay, my contract might not be renewed next year, you know? And that,
Which is the
yeah,
default at the commission. Usually, commission is very, very stable. So usually, people decide to leave. It's not because their contract was not extended. Usually, they say, "Okay, I'm here for 3 years or 4 years. I want to change. I want to see something else. I want to work in the private sector. Or I want to be closer from home or whatever." It's never because it's really rare the cases that the European Commission say due to budget or due to this we will not extend your contract. So it's not the default option. So
no, and well, it was the case for me as well. I was there from 2016 to 2019, end of 2019.
yeah,
And at some
3 years
point I said,
mission as
okay,
well. So it's always 3 years.
yeah.
3 years you want to change.
And yeah, and then I started to think, okay, how about trying the private sector in Belgium?
Yeah,
Because well, it must be different compared to Portugal, and it is. They are not as I mean, they respect very much your personal
privacy.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is a clear split between what's work schedule, what's personal schedule, and after 5 p.m., 6 p.m., the time is yours. It's not your boss's time or your company's time anymore. And yeah, so I gave it a try as well.
and it was, if I remember, who gave you the? It was Vincent and Bars, right?
It was Visser and Bars who contacted me, and I believe it was through you once again, because
Because they
if I'm
called
not,
me. They called
yeah,
me. Hey, yeah, are you interested in this position? And I said, me, I'm not. But if you want, I can give you a contact of Walter. He has a similar profile. Speak with him. So it was also BI, Click
yeah,
BI consultant position, and kind of. Uh, I'm not interested. I think I just had joined the DGAC for the Erasmus program. I'm not interested, but give a call to Walter if you want. So, and then they called you, and then later on, I found out that you had taken the job at Zurich, right?
yeah, Zurich Insurance. Yeah,
Yeah. So it was a change. So it was, and how it was
yeah.
the private sector from well, DG Move was also not a reference. It was a very particular environment.
I was lucky because although the private sector in Brussels or in Belgium it's not as demanding as the private sector in Portugal, it's still a little bit more demanding as the European Commission,
Yeah.
right? In terms of volume of work and deliveries and so on. But I was lucky enough to find a great team at Zurich Insurance. Um, for the first 3 weeks, I felt a bit squeezed because we had the very tight deadline to deliver something that was to be done for 6 months already, and we
Yeah.
ended up doing everything in 3 weeks. Because when I arrived, it was simply not done, and they started asking me, even not that I had the knowledge because I didn't. Actually, I joined to be QuickSense developer, and my first 3 months of work, 3 weeks of work, was Excel developer.
Yeah.
So I was developing reports in Excel with a lot of macros and so on for the Russian central bank.
Okay.
But then, yeah, once that finished, then I moved back to ClickSense, and it was quite nice. I mean, so nice that I was there for 4 years.
Yeah. You were
Yeah,
there for a long, long time. So you even got
yeah,
the remote. They gave you remote even before COVID.
yeah,
So before at the European Commission, people start to be on far side, so in the remote, like working from home, telework. We already had that 6 months before, no? In
I started with that uh, probably well right from the moment when I joined. Instead of being full, let's say, going 5 days a week
yeah,
to the office, I was only required to be there 4 days a week. So one
yeah,
day I could be either from Brussels or from anywhere, and I took the chance to start traveling much more.
yeah,
But then this was October, I think, 2019, and then COVID came in February 2020, and right from there we all went remote. So so
it
it
was
was in a way it was a benefit that I was expecting, but it was rushed by COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
And yeah,
Yeah,
so it was nice 4 years, to be honest, and I still keep in touch with the colleagues there. We
it was
have
also kind of problematic there, no? Because many times they wanted like those political decisions that they take some of these things. You need to, okay, if you're working in Portugal, you need to be hired by the Portuguese team. We want you to become employee. All
I
those
had
things that you already have a relevant role as a team leader, or you are here for 4 years. We want you to
yeah,
become internal. All those dilemmas that exist. We are not comfortable of you being freelancer. We want you to become internal. But
yeah.
then when you check what are the conditions to be internal, you say, I prefer to stay freelancer, guy. I'm a loyal guy, I'm not leaving. I'm
I'm
just
loyal
happier and better
I'm
as
loyal
a
to my own
freelancer.
company.
So, because the financials, when you become a employee, are totally different when you are a freelancer.
Yeah,
So, and then
yeah,
you need to go to HR because you have this age, you need to go to this level, and this level is this financial package. And since you are in Portugal, it starts already to ring some bells, even if you work for Belgium. It is always the thing. And I remember, like, we were speaking often, and I say, here they come again. Let's go to see another episode of the soap
and not just
opera
that,
of
not
trying
just
to
that.
hire Walter as employee.
That discussion came at least in 4 years. It came at least 3 times.
Yes, every year,
um,
like
every
around
year.
January, they would start.
We even had the discussion of hiring me because I didn't want to be employed there in Brussels. Um, because I was traveling very often. Either sometimes I was in Portugal, sometimes I was in Brussels, sometimes I was traveling somewhere
Yeah,
else, and I didn't want to have that fiscal stability in Brussels. But neither I wanted to have it, let's say, mandatorily in Portugal. So we were looking for options.
yeah,
One of the options was actually becoming employee through the Portuguese branch, and then the Portuguese branch sending me to Belgium, and eventually paying me a little bit extra for being in Belgium and so on.
yeah,
But still, it was far from, let's say, the contractor's financial
yeah,
position. And then there was also something on top of that. It was not just, let's say, the invitation to become internal. It was also the fact that every year they were questioning um, what is gonna, what is it gonna be about budget for the next, I don't know, year,
yeah.
sometimes even less than a year, because sometimes these discussions were coming in middle of the year. So we were always questioning ourselves. I mean, will I have a contract next year? Yeah.
No,
And
because as a freelancer or as a contractor, many times your boss loves you. You are doing a great job, but somehow they lose the budget of that team. That
yeah,
team, by the decision of something, has been moved somewhere else, or has finished, or they cut the budget by half, or whatever. So at the political level, the management doesn't manage to gather the budget for the team, and somehow they need to leave people that they really like to work, that are doing a great job. They even would do calls and refer you to other companies,
yeah,
saying, "Okay, Walter is great. He's doing a great job," and sadly we had to let him go because there's no budget. Sometimes, but as an employee, that also can happen. But usually they move you to another team. So since you have a contract with the company, not with the project or not with the unit, you are a bit more protected based on that. But in those things, freelancers, they don't control that. You can do a great job, you can do everything great, but somehow the team loses budget, and you are a collateral damage.
yeah.
Also, to say that if the team gets more money, you can get a pay raise.
Well,
Sometimes
but
it's managed, or you can negotiate better. So, okay, give me more farm, give me more remote, or you can negotiate some terms.
to be honest, the experience I had there was that during COVID, for instance, they negotiated the rates. They tried to squeeze it, and the argument was, yeah, since you are working remotely, either from your own country or from Brussels, but from home, you don't need to travel so much. You don't need to commute, so we can pay you a little bit less. And and at some point, I told them, okay, I agree with that at a certain extension, but not less than X amount. And finally, this was kind of a discussion between me and the company to check who was taking the penalty, right? So in the end, they absorbed most of the penalty on their side, and I didn't feel the rate being so much cut on my side, luckily. But this doesn't happen with every company. Most of the companies, they say, okay, we have a 10% or 20% margin, and we will keep 10% or
Yeah.
20%. We don't care if they are squeezing it or not. It's up to you and the
Or
client.
sometimes they even take that opportunity to increase their margin, and you take the most of the cut, and they keep
Yeah,
their
exactly.
absolute amount. They keep almost the same, but the impact is mostly on you because you don't have that much the visibility.
But yeah, I mean, and that was actually what made me start thinking, do I still want every year to have this discussion and to be afraid that I might not have the budget? Although my team was a little bit protected because we were working at the BI side and we were just 4 or 5 of us working at the BI side, so there wasn't a chance to, let's say, onboard easily someone from another project because it's a
Yeah,
very niche, let's say, tech stack, especially who is working with Click, as you know.
yeah. And he also has
Um,
all the knowledge of the business, of the
as well,
databases, of the
yeah,
also the of the compliance that you had to the reporting, the compliance about the reports and things. So it's not easy to
yeah.
replace someone.
And yeah, and then I started to think, okay, does it make sense for me to stay here for longer? It's already 4 years as well. or should I start looking for something else? And but then I realized that, okay, at the European Commission, the framework contract changed a bit.
Yeah.
Now remote work would be a possibility. And exploring that, I finally came back to DG Move.
Yeah, as
So
a team leader.
as a team leader, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
used to
I
go back
took,
to the previous team where you were, but now as a team leader, and many times
yeah,
leading colleagues that were your ex-colleagues. So before they were
well,
at your
all of
level.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them. So it was yeah. So I left DG Move 2016, and I still know all the people that were working on BI.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is one
No, I
exception.
don't know
It's
all of them, but most of them. So
no, we are five, four.
yeah, so it was yeah. So the movement is not that much. So as well, the business, the databases knowledge, the business didn't change much neither. So the same,
Yeah.
they are just more or less like the same applications, a bit with a better evolution. The tools have changed and things, but the core team has stayed. And how is to go back to the team where you left, but now you come back as a team lead?
Oh, I must. It's nice because in a way I knew the colleagues and I was already aware what I could count.
Yeah,
On the other side, it's a bit challenging because I mean, how can you? And please keep in mind that all those colleagues were already there when I joined in 2016 as well.
yeah, yeah,
So how can you go back to a team and become a team leader of people that are there for 10, 12 years? They know more than you on every aspect of the project, even sometimes on the tech stack, on the technologies.
yeah,
So sometimes it's a bit challenging, but I'm trying to, let's say, to play with the nice mood, with a nice mindset, to get their good feelings and yeah, make things work. And
yeah,
well, it's working fine. I'm implementing some processes that I had already implemented before in BNP Paribas as a team leader, or that I faced in Zurich. And that is somehow improving our daily work.
yeah,
Um, uh, and that's exactly where I feel that I can make a difference. It's not so much on the technology level or skills. Um, so it's being nice,
yeah.
I must admit.
And Walter, one thing. So meanwhile, you were kind of open to the market at the Zurich experience, like with all that dilemmas and soap operas of being. So you were more open to the market, and you keep like I still keep receiving. Hey, are you interested in applying for a job or joining this project ABC? So for sure, you are also getting contacts on LinkedIn, kind of weekly. Um, and they were still asking you to fill CV templates and stuff, or
That's a long, long battle. That's a long, long battle. It's and in fact, it's especially true with the approaches I get from the Portuguese companies. With foreign companies, I haven't had that much, but still, of course, they always ask you to fill in something. But as you might know, and you know it much better than me, the Portuguese
yeah,
companies, they are expert on that because they don't even rely on a standard template. They don't trust, I don't know, Europass. They each of them, they like to have their own specific template so that they can show to the market that they have a brand.
yeah,
And this, to me, it's really upsetting because, I mean, you take so long to create your own CV. You do it in a way, I wouldn't say you do it with passion, but you do it careful enough to represent in a piece of paper your career and yourself. And then someone asks you, okay, can you please redo everything in this different template? And then you have another interview tomorrow, and now you redo everything. And sometimes even for the same process, you redo it in the consultancy company template, and then also the client's template.
yeah,
At some point, I started to refuse that. I started to say, guys, I give you my CV. You can do whatever design layout changes you want to do it. I allow you to do it. You cannot change the content, of course, but that's your work. It's not my work. And I lost some opportunities, of course, with that, but I gained a lot of time with that.
No, because
Um,
so that's what was one of the reasons I kind of launched Sprint CV as well. So, um, from the Portuguese experience, you have 100,000 consulting companies, consulting outsourcing companies, and all of them grab them. They like to have their own template, which I totally understand for branding, and I totally understand the value of it for the business process of selling the person. But asking the candidate, here is the blank template, fill it by yourself, by hand, a person with maybe 12, 13, 15 years of experience,
yeah,
it's nonsense. So if they do kind of 90% of the job and they say, hey, Walter, we need help in this section because we don't know what to fill, so we need your help, I'm pretty sure that you'll gladly help, but not do everything from zero at
of
stage
course.
zero of the recruitment process. So many times people do not understand, and well, using tools like, let's say, Sprint CV or whatever tools that exist in the market in order to do all the CV parsing, CV revision, and then already adapting to their own template automatically, they can easily, with automation, show a huge image to the consultant. Hey, we did a lot of job. In fact, they have just a process that does everything by themselves automatically almost. Hey, but now we need your input. We need to sell your profile to the company. But now we need your input. We already did 90% of the job. Now we need you in order to fill the last 10%. But just by dumping empty template to the candidate, and then they grab themselves, is to see the motivation of the candidate.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're not testing the motivation. You're just testing the desperation of the candidate. How desperate he is to find a job. So if he's stable, he will not lose his 1 hour or to fill your template.
exactly.
So you are just saying, okay, he's unemployed, he really needs a job. So instead of searching for jobs, he will be filling CV templates.
And I'm pretty sure that recruiters, and if you speak to recruiters, you'll have a much better picture than what I'm saying. But I'm pretty sure that probably 30 to 40% of the candidates, they don't move forward with the process on their side. They decide unilaterally to not move forward as soon as someone tells them, you need to fill in another CV.
Yeah,
And this is a big share. When you are looking for a potential candidate to present to a client, and out of 10, 4 immediately tells you, I don't want that position, or I don't want to spend time on filling in the CV. And those, as you said, those are usually the cases that they are more stable. They are not actively looking for a job. And those are most likely the ones that the companies should try to convince, because those are possibly the ones that are better fit for the position and better skilled for the position, right? And man, with that, actually, I was possibly one of the earliest adopters of Sprint TV.
yeah. You are a user very like 100 or whatever. So
I don't
taking
know. I don't know
taking
if
in
you have my
consideration the
user
90
ID,
test
but
accounts, 90 test accounts, so maybe you are user number 10.
I remember that I started very early because I wanted to keep my DGTM template up to date,
That is 3.
or
Like,
DASIS 3.
it was Desis 3, right? You
Yeah,
came at
it was
Desis 3,
DASIS 3 by
so I
then.
came at
Yeah,
Desis 2, you came at Desis 3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and also because by that time I was getting calls from Portuguese companies, and I was in a way telling them, guys, okay, I will not fill in your CV. If your CV is already in Sprint CV, I'll gladly export it in your template.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of them in the end contacted you or were already in there. I don't have that figure in my mind, but I see that the templates that you have incorporated into Sprint CV, they have grown a lot, and congrats for that. It might mean that you had prospects from companies coming to you
Yeah,
and asking
but
for the services.
now we work a bit more differently. So if they are on CV, their template it's hidden, so they only themselves can see their template. So
Okay.
back in the days, I kind of did. I asked the companies, "Hey, can I include your template? Can I include your template?" Nowadays, if they are using it, they have their own template, so they can parse the CV and all those things, and then they can do the transformation to their own template by themselves. But so the Portuguese market, we have a good presence, but it could be taken in consideration the time that people lose on CV copy pasting from one template to other. The market is so big, but there's also a huge resistance because Portuguese mindset sometimes is not easy to they don't appreciate that much the time of the recruiters. He's paid to fill that by hand, so it's his problem. If the candidate doesn't fill, it's his problem. So everybody's problem. But in the end, I
Yeah.
think it's the company losing it. So because they do the candidate experience, it should be better in order to close more deals. And sometimes they put so much sand on the process that it just creates resistance. So they should avoid all the resistances from the candidate experience in order to be able to submit the CV faster to the companies or to their clients in order to close more deals. So that's
Of course.
what they should. And the recruiters should spend more time speaking with candidates than to doing back office admin. So filling CVs, preparing A, B, C, D, F. So a recruiter job is to have direct candidate with candidates and spend his full day speaking with candidates. So whenever he receives a new opportunity, he already has 3 or 4 persons in the back of his head that he could fit that specific position, and in 1 hour, 2 hours, he can submit already the candidates. So it's should be the mindset of a recruiter, in my point of view. But anyway, yeah. So it's a hard reality. That anyway, it's is the mindset in European like Belgium things. It's a bit more like that. So they like the candidates are a bit more kings in terms of we'll do everything for you. It's better. But in the Portuguese market, I still feel it that sometimes it is still missing a bit that candidate experience on a process. So they approach you on LinkedIn and you say yes, and they dump your CV template to fill. It's like
Yeah. Well, and they don't even most of the times they don't even approach you on LinkedIn. They send a bulk message to I don't know how many candidates. Luckily, your name might be correct or not. And then if you answer, you answer. If you don't answer, someone else will answer. It's I don't really like the way the market operates in Portugal, to be honest. But thankfully, I'm not subject to that for the time being. But if I ever need to come back to the Portuguese market again, I might find it very hard to accommodate to certain circumstances and
yeah.
to agree with certain things. Sometimes it's just, and I mean, I'm getting weekly contacts from Portuguese recruiters asking if I would like to join a certain position. And sometimes the position is so far away from what I do currently, not just on the technical skills that are required, but on the paycheck as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I'm even looking at it at the message, wondering, but have they even took 2 minutes to read my title, my profile, just to go through my profile? Not just two lines of the profile would tell them immediately, okay, this is not a candidate for this position.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
But yeah, I have the feeling that most of the recruiters in Portugal, they have numbers that they need to fill every month or every week. You need to contact X number of candidates. Out of that, you need to close X number of deals. And I mean, they just send broadcast messages to everyone, and that's it without really paying attention to the criteria sometimes.
sometimes it's not even the recruiter's fault. I think maybe it's the head of recruitment or whatever that
Yeah.
they still they play the number of games. So if you send 1,000 messages, you'll find maybe 5 candidates. From those 5 candidates, so you see it as a pipeline. The
Yeah.
more messages the bigger the bigger is the bottom of the pipeline, the more you have. So it's kind of I don't know, so it's Chinese way or whatever. So if you are
Yeah.
one person that produces five, you put 1,000 people, then you have 500, 5,000.
It's a
Um,
big numbers probability, right?
yeah, so it's you play with a kind of workforce. Yeah, and
Mm,
then Walter, last question is
please.
about the taboo. Since we are a bit about, speaking about Portuguese and abroad, the speaking about money, salary, rates, and stuff. It's all that thing that is really taboo in Portugal. And then I even remember when you joined, did you move? So after I referred you, and then I kind of even I put a good word for Luke in order to kind of work a bit in the back of his mind. Walter is a good guy, so it's kind of me, but 1 year younger. Yeah, so it was, and in the end, it was true. So it is. So you did a very good job, and he was super happy. And we still both keep a very good relationship with Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember back in the days that you kind of joined through engineering, and it's like I don't know very well how is the process, but Walter never asked me help for to negotiate his rate or to give him insights and stuff, because I believe you still came with the mindset of Portugal that it was not correct to speak about daily rates and help on
Well,
negotiation.
totally. I mean, the daily rate is something that in Portugal, or the daily rate or the salary, you negotiate with your company directly when you are starting the mission, and that's it. And then you can expect a small increase every month, every year. Well, not
Yeah,
every month in Portugal, of course, every 2 years eventually, and so on. But it's something that you don't even discuss with other people working at the same company, with even after starting with your colleagues. Because indeed, it's a bit of taboo, and the companies, they make an effort for that to remain a taboo. I remember at BNP Paribas, I was having um, employees, I wouldn't state any names, of course, but telling me, no, 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 that's, you cannot speak about that subject. You cannot tell anyone how much you get, you know? And then in the end, no one knew exactly, okay, but what is fair for this position, right?
yeah.
I'm doing the same job as my colleague next to me, and I cannot ask him how much he gets, or I can ask him eventually, but off the record. And
After
then,
5 years, after five
yeah,
years at night.
and then it becomes a problem if the guy tells you I'm getting less than you, and you tell him I'm getting more than you. Then he will start complaining to his company and to not just to the consultancy company, but to your boss and so on. So it always becomes a problem, which is not exactly how it works in well, essentially at the European Commission, because at the European Commission you have a grid, you fit here, this is where, this is how much you'll get, because you have X number of years of experience, you have,
Yeah, you have a table. You also have the how much percent the company takes as well. So it's
exactly.
also kind of but the funny thing at the European Commission now is less because people are a lot remote, so people speak less because it's not a conversation that you'll have through Teams from a colleague that you might never seen, so you don't have that much connection with colleagues. But back in the days, after 1 week, people were how much you're earning, how much percentage is taking the company. He's taking too
Yeah.
much. You need to renegotiate that. It's like so it was kind of because consultants were very bonding together. So let's say people were going out for drinks and things. So it was totally different mindset. It was
This was a topic that was coming into the table every time you would go to Plus Luxembourg and after 4 beers.
yeah. So how much you get? How much
Exactly.
margin? It was so it was really kind of the dilemma between scarcity. So there's very few, so people like kind of try to gather as much as they want, and the kind of abundancy that people want to share. And if you have 10, I also want to have 10. It's not because
Yeah.
you have 10 that I should have less, but they were seeing it as a positive thing, as motivation. Okay, so
Yeah.
how you reach there? Okay, so I need to go to that level and change company, or go through here, there, and then. So how much is taking your company? So I know that they can negotiate next time and earn, push more to my side. So you're always
Totally.
like, with the experience of the others, you're always trying to learn what were the boundaries of the game. So because you had more knowledge and the people
Yeah.
were sharing more, and it was not because you earn X that I'll learn X minus 10. So, or it was not a pie that if you take one big slice, I will have to take less. So it was a really different mindset on mentality, and also from the managers. The manager trying to help you to earn more and to be happy with your position, and to
Yeah.
be happy because they hate people leaving teams. So they really like stability on their teams, because like that they don't need to do handovers and things. And many times I still see things, even with Luke, for example. Luke is a person that really protects their team members, and he tries at his best using, well, being on a system that he is, so he is limited by the system. But he tries at his best so that his people are very well. So,
Yeah.
and very well. So he needs, okay, I want to keep my good guys as long as I want, as long as I can, because that provides me stability. And if I don't have people changing, I have an easier job. So because
Yeah.
I can count with my team members.
And I think there is a special focus on results and not so much on numbers. It's not just about keeping the balance sheet clean and to have to pay as least as possible. No, it's actually getting the proper results. And if you want the proper results, you need to find the right people, and for having the right people, you need to pay the right amount. That's how it works.
Walter, it's time to go. Yeah. So Walter, it was a pleasure. Looking forward to have a beer with you. In
Likewise,
Thank you. It was a great pleasure. Ciao, ciao,
likewise,
Walter.
Marco. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
All the best. Bye bye.